Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Prepper Fireside. This one is your edition because it's all about your questions. Here to answer your questions fully and in depth is, of course, Dave, the urban survivalist. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good. Yourself?
Not bad, not bad. And here to talk crap and mention pies is Brian. How you doing, Scottish Prepper?
Give us a pie.
In the chat, let's just acknowledge everyone in there at the moment, or as best I can. Gary Crawford was first in. He was in at 8:30, very keen. Elusive Dartmoor, Survival is in the house. Philip Hull, Liz. Zebra Prep is in there. Dudley's Edge. Oh, Dudley's Edge. Dudley's Edge sent me a gift from my wish list. Thank you, Dudley's Edge. Appreciate that. Hawkins is in the house. Kelly's Eye. Band again is there. Miss Worm's here to keep you all in check, so watch out because she will. Jay's in the house. I'm just going all the way down very quickly. Suburban Preppers. Blood Skulls Rock. That's an awesome name. Just got my dinner in time, she says. Hungry Tourist is in the house. And loads of you in there. There's 57 people in already. I can't keep up with the chat. I need somebody doing this for me at some point. But, you know, if you've got a question for the live preppers here, put capitals question at the start of it. I'll try and notice it in the chat. You've got the options of a super chat, but you don't need to do that. Put the block capitals question. I will star it and we will come back to it. We'll try and get through the pre-asked questions first. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to go around the board. Dave, you are to my left on my hand, but right on the screen. I don't know. It's weird. You're next to me. You're going to get the first question, and then we'll go around, and then we'll see how that goes. Okie dokie. I don't know what it is yet, Dave, so...
Can I pass?
You can pass. You can phone a friend. It's all options are on the table if I can actually find the questions. Lots of people ask multiple questions, so you might see the name pop up a few times in a row. Nice, quick fire, easy one to start with from Philip Hull, 7919. Do you rate fire masks versus NBC or CBRN masks? You know a bit about this, Dave. You've talked to me about this in the past. What do you think?
I mean, to be honest, again, it depends on what the situation you're preparing for. If you're preparing for a CBRN event or an NBC event, whatever you want to call it, then an NBC mask will be a lot better. Fire masks are really good for fumes, what they called pepper spray, things like that. And they tend to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
if I'm
honest.
noticed
that when I was looking on Amazon. It was
I've looked at a lot of these MIRA MIRA masks and stuff like that, and you're talking like between £250 and £500, and you can go and get a surplus. Even the top of the range GSR is about 120 quid now.
Yeah, it's all about the filters, though, right, Dave? It's got to be the right filters.
I think it's like, I mean, with me, I have NBC filters. I also have training filters, which are used for tear gas and petrol, not petrol bombs. What's it called? I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to think of it. Like it's tear gas, pepper spray. That was it.
Petrol bombs a bit more extreme, but
yeah. but yeah, it was just thinking off the top of my head. So it's like I have filters for NBC. I have filters for like smoke and chemicals and irritants as well. So I guess it's personal choice and what you're preparing for.
Yeah, it depends what you're prepping for.
Yeah.
Brian, any additions to the mask front there on that one? And do you rate one over the other?
Depends what they mean by fire masks. They're talking about air-fed ones that are overpressure, relying on just the seal.
I'm assuming so, if we're talking about the same sort of price bracket and same sort of product.
Different advantages and disadvantages in it. You're relying on overpressure to keep any of the nasty shit out as well, so it's got advantages in that. Disadvantages cost. See, anything that's dear, anything that's good in terms of masks now, like Dave said, it's expensive as shit. It's really, really pricey. But you'll probably pay nearly as much for the filters, good filters, as you will for the bloody masks.
And you'll, if you do invest in that, you will be walking past the people coughing out on the floor wearing their Temu masks, I'm sure. But thank you for the question, Philip. I have no additions on that one. So the next one, we'll start with Brian. Let's check the comments. Sorry, I'll check the comments first. Anyone's got any additions to that? I will star your questions. Some of them might have already been asked, though, so just bear that in mind. I've got a Face Fit Force 8 mask. It's brilliant, says Sab's Workshop. Kelly's mask preference is GIMP.
I was waiting for that. I thought it was Brian.
Look, it's got all these zips.
Survive the apocalypse in style. Right. So not much extra on masks. So let's go to the next question, and we'll be starting with you this time, Brian.
Oh no!
Find the button again. This one's from Kelly's Eye, the one for the GIMP masks. Do you have levels of preparedness, or do you just prepare for Teotihuacan and have done with it?
Try to answer that one the best. I think prepping in general covers for most eventualities, but it starts off at a price point. So at the start, you'll get the basics. And then as you get more of the basics, you tend to get more of the exotic, fancy stuff that you would maybe, need versus... Right?
Yeah.
You would get lots of water, you would get lots of food before you would go run out and get a gas mask, right? Because chances are you'll be skint, or you'll have a power cut, need a torch and candles before, you're going to have to worry about your face melting and your lungs exploding. So look at a realistic threat and then prep for that first. And then if you've got spare money and stuff, then buy a couple of masks, buy some walkie-talkies and stuff, but get the basics first, get your water, get your food, get that stuff.
So you're saying you do have levels kind of thing where you would get to a certain level and think, right, I'm prepared for, I don't know, 10-day blackout. Then you'd step the next level and do 30 days and then you'd so on. Yeah.
And that's based on money more than anything, because all of us, there's none of us millionaires. So you've got to work to a budget. So 1 month you'll maybe get a couple extra tins, a couple of bottles.
Waitrose.
I forgot. Other than Dave, right, with the gold masks and stuff, right? Mere mortals. You'll start out on a budget, because in an ideal world, you'd maybe say, right, screw it, I'm going to build a bunker, I'm going to stock it full of shit, and then forget about it. But where the world that we live in, you've got limited space, you've got to live your life, you've got to go your holidays, kids have got to go to school. So you're fitting this shit in and about that. So on that basis, you'll start off at the bottom, add a little bit, start off at a week's worth of preps, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, couple of months, then maybe start adding in water filters, Berkeys, that kind of stuff, walkie-talkies. That's my opinion. That's
when the toys start coming in once you've got the food and water supply, right?
Aye.
Yeah.
It's like Ann Summers for preppers.
I thought Ann Summers was for preppers. Anyway, Dave, Dave, have you got any additions to that one, what Brian was mentioning there?
Well, I think Brian's pretty on the ball with it, to be honest. I think when I started, and I advise this for all beginners, do it slowly. So, yes, levels. So, start off, make sure you have enough food and water for 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks. finances allowing, but don't skip out on the skills. Always, before I even started storing water, I learned skills.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, because I used to be in the mindset that, like, if shit goes down, I can fill my water up quickly. If you have enough, then. But now I have a water storage, but I also know the areas of what to do. And the levels obviously change with your priorities, your finances, as Brian said. It's like when I started, like I said, I started for 3 days. And it took me a good few weeks to get enough for 3 days, making sure I had the right stuff. So making sure I have water, because it's not just water and food. It's like medicine, kids' medicine. If you got children, it's like first aid kits, like all the little bits and pieces. I did it. I had 3 days worth of this, and then I'd add to it and elaborate on that, as Brian said. And obviously, as things go on and you get your supplies, you can move on from there.
Yeah. And if you do them 3 days in depth, then you'll know how to expand that, because a lot of people will prep water based on like health recommendations of drink X amount of liters per day. So they'll say, oh, I've got people in the house, this many liters a day, that's my water prepped. Then they'll stock freeze-dried meals, not realizing they're going to have to use the water supply to cook that. We're English, we're going to need cups of tea during this process anyway. So water is it's used for a lot of different things, and sanitation and hygiene and stuff like that. So over prep water is the one thing I would say on that as well. I'm going to cross that off. Let's go to the comments, because there are 34 comments behind. Jeez.
Mate.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Haven't you got something better to do on a Sunday night? Really,
then
people?
Watch us lot. I've got a good marker to where I left off at, because I can see Kelly's eye gimp comment. There we go. Love it. Philip says, love it, Kelly's eye. Any photos you can share? Shocking. Some walkie-talkies. Oh, I've got so much to teach you about radio, Brian, says Hawkins.
Mate, I'm happy if I can turn it on and hear somebody by pressing the button. That's my limit.
If you won a couple of £1 million, Brian, would you get new windows and doors, or that lovely big bunker you're always banging on about?
Bunker.
Bunker. Easy one. There you go. Brian hit the issue. Money. Not everyone can afford full whack prep process. Got a money figure in mind for how to reach a basic level.
Depends how many people's in the house.
I'll leave that one there for a moment, because there is questions related to that in the chat, but I'll put a star on it so we come back to it, Kelly. Super sticker by Teleboy, $4.99. Thank you very much. All donations greatly appreciated. Pays for a dry unit. Mike, how can you grow and then lose a beard so quick? But, well, I can't grow a beard quickly anymore because my alopecia's come back full force now, so that's why I'm clean shaven. It's medical, not choice. I think I've got to the bottom, so if I missed anyone's comments, I do apologize. It's me next. So I'll answer this one first. This is a nice short one from Miss Worm. Best thing you can prep for free, and we will go around the table on this one because it's a nice. Different people have different ideas, but the one thing I will say is planning. What you can prep for free is planning. I know there's different schools of thoughts, and I'm sure Dave will have stuff about this as well, different things you can do for free. But for me, just to sit there and think, in this scenario, this is what I'd do, and write that down. Write instructions down if you're not in the house for other people. Planning is absolutely free, and playing scenarios out in your mind or physically in real life is absolutely free. So planning is the best prep for me that you can do for free. Dave?
Well, skills, to be honest, it's like it has to be up there. And I had this, I did a YouTube video about this, skills or equipment, what's better. And skills all day long. It doesn't cost you anything. I mean, like you can watch things on YouTube, you can learn from a book, whatever. But it's like things like foraging, like growing your own food, like local knowledge, water sourcing, looking for the first aid, all these things you can learn pretty much for free.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so skills has to be up there.
Yeah.
And a little bit of time. You don't have to go full whack and like learn 50 things in a month. It's just pick one and go like, do you know, this week I'm going to learn foraging. Next couple of weeks I'm going to carry on with my foraging. Then I'll learn something else. So skill.
Brian, anything to add for the best thing you can prep for free?
No, that way. No, Dave got it. Hit it in the head. Skills. And skills will be complementary. Whilst you're learning those skills, you could be imparting them onto your kids or friends and family. And also, you might meet people where you're out doing your hill walk and your foraging, and your little mag group grows a little bit bigger. Or you might even pick up something and learn something. So it's all complementary in a big circle.
Yeah. And Dave did briefly mention, I'll just add finally, is he mentioned foraging. Foraging's free to do. You can buy books, and I know that's an expense, but you're watching this on the internet, so you must have access to that. So you can use apps and you can use the internet and you can figure out what you're foraging, and that's a free thing to do. And you can prep it because you can then learn how to preserve that food, and there's many different methods for that. So yeah, I'll just add that one. But yeah, thank you for the question, Miss Worm, our awesome moderator there, with that one. So back round again to Dave. I'll check the comments. 21 behind. 2 minutes. Hold the horses, Dave. Hold the horses.
No rush.
Lee's in the house, the Bug Out Shop, where you get all your high quality prepping gear. Check out the Bug Out Shop. He's a great shop. He's a great guy. And honestly, he just doesn't sell crap that a lot of shops will peddle onto you. If he thinks it's rubbish, he won't stock it. Very trustworthy. Go and check out the Bug Out Shop. And the Bug Out Weekender, end of September, beginning of October kind of time. That's an awesome event to go to as well. So check that out. There's a question there. I'll start that for later. And there's another one. You guys, they want to keep us here all night, gents, I think, by the look. Answering my own question, says Miss Worm. Practice your comprehension. I see so many people completely misinterpret what they've read. Sometimes they even get the meaning reversed. Could be a killer in certain circumstances. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Practice with everything, right? Great one there as well from Lee. Networking is free. There's obviously paid events like the Scottish Prepper Meet. But joining forums, talking to us on here, on the chat, all the different community stuff. Yeah, that's all free. That's awesome. Learn to use your preps. You can buy all you want, but it doesn't mean you can use them. Very good point. This is why we do practice. This is why we do excursions. Do you want in there, Brian?
Yeah, add on something to that. This is what I fell down on. Make sure your family know how to use it as well. Yeah. Going back a couple of weeks ago, when we were on the cruise ship, power cut hit, and my son didn't know how to work any of the electrics or the backup power banks. So yeah, I know how to use it, but if your family don't and you're not there, or God forbid something's happened to you, make sure everybody in the house knows.
Yeah. Great point. Great addition there. Cool. Right. Back to the questions. There's loads of questions. There's 8 questions starred in the comments, guys. I've still got to get through these. Might have to do 2 rounds of questions, then go to the comments. Right. I've lost them. I've lost the questions. Here we go. This is a good one for you, Dave. Another one from Philip Hull, 7919. Where would you bug out to if you didn't have a bug out location, or you can't make it to your destination, i.e. that'll do locations, like things you know about?
Yeah. Okay, Philip. Well, the first thing, we sort of address this in our plans because my wife's disabled. So again, we have to have a reality check about the sort of fitness and physicality of bugging out for people in my family. So I am a great promoter of local knowledge about knowing your local area, knowing what's there. Now, we have a couple of bug out locations, but I also have a lot of underground tunnel systems I use, which are good stopgaps. Now, living there long term would take a lot of work to do because they're damp, they're cold, they're not nice. You know, it's like spending a week or 2 in a tunnel system would be a last resort. But they still are places you can stop off, you know. So if I couldn't make it to my bug out location, or if there was civil unrest on the streets, I know that 5 minutes there's a hatch where me and my family can go down, and I can cover 3-4 miles under the town and get to the coast without even anyone knowing about it.
Excellent. Yeah. So I mean, that's actual your actual bug out route has got contingencies like that. Is there any places though you could recommend to people if they don't say for example, my bug out location is in the Lake District.
Yeah.
But God forbid it's an EMP. There's no cars or anything like that. As much as I'd want to stick the missus and the kid in the bike trailer and cycle them there, it's not going to happen in enough time. What kind of locations can I be looking for? Like churches, things like that?
Well, if you see my YouTube, which you have, Mike, we've commented a few times, like I do a lot of abandoned buildings, underground tunnel systems, abandoned nature reserves and things like that, where not a lot of people go. Now, for me, like I say, I have planned and marked 5 underground locations. I've got 3 abandoned buildings. Now, a lot of these old abandoned buildings have cellars as well that you can go and hunker down in there. But one thing, look out for nature reserves.
Yeah.
Because nature reserves, I've got a nature reserve near me. We go walking there quite a lot. There's hardly anyone about. We can forage most of our stuff there. There's livestock there if the situation arose that you ever had to do anything like that. But there's also like bits out of the way, so you can go to the main paths and get off the main paths. So I guess the same as if you went to the woods. It's like if you went to bug out in the woods, you're not going to bug out next to a main path or even a side path. You're going to bug out deep into the woods.
Yeah.
You know, because remember, whatever you're thinking about, probably a third of the population are thinking exactly the same thing. And this is the danger you've got bugging out anywhere.
Yeah. Think outside the box with that one if you can. Brian, any additions to that?
Pretty much the same, with the biggest caveat's always going to be the ability of the oldest, youngest, or unfittest person in the group. You know, you might be able to carry 50 pounds and tab for 20 miles with a rucksack on, but if dear old granny's 65 and she's been chain smoking all days and she's got COPD, then the radius of travel that you've got on foot is it's not that great. I
Granny's
would tend
going
to look
the way
at
of old Yeller.
Yeah, she had a good run. But buildings that are not owned by people. So say you've got, and this is obviously in time of hypothetically shit's at the fan, rule of laws, right? So don't empty do any stupid shit. But people don't own these buildings. Say it's council-owned properties like a stately home that's now a library or a tourist attraction. It's got lots of ground round about it that's clear. You can see the approaches. You know you can get in there. You know there's a water source nearby. There's generally woods nearby or whatever, like something like that. It's sheltered. They're generally robust. Is there enough people there that you could hold it and defend it? Something like that.
And it's worth mentioning, if it's a stately home, often there's a groundskeeper on the thing, so there will be somebody living there permanently. But if it's council owned, like you say, or if it's a tourist attraction, there's no way they've come into work that day if the shit's hit the fan. So there's a good chance.
Can I add something to that? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go.
What I suggest this to a lot of people, check out your local area. And if you're in the UK, Subterranea UK, look at this place, because I found what seemed like an old pillbox, but when it was locked up and everything. But when I looked into it, it would literally be easy because I know how to pick locks and stuff like that, because that's something I trained in. But once you get inside it, it's got stairs that go all the way round, and it's got bunker rooms underneath. So it was like on the top surface, it just looks like a little round pillbox. But once you get through the door, you've got a whole network of rooms underneath it. So do your research on Subterranea UK or Subterranea Britain and see what's in your local
website.
Yeah. We same rules apply with that one that Dave's mentioning, though. Just bear in mind the situation at the time and how many people might be going for the same thing. Yeah, you don't want to be all fighting over one little bunker in the area if there's 30 preppers going for it. So just bear that in mind, scout out locations and be very wary with it. Yeah, so thank you for that question. I've managed to half keep up with the chat during that, but then I've lost it. I keep losing where I'm clicking on. Honestly, this is why Canadian Prepper has a production crew. He just goes, next slide, please.
Actors do.
Learner Prepper. This is for you, Brian. Sorry. Learner Prepper. How long could you bug in for at the moment with your family?
6 months.
6 months living exactly as you are with rationing. Can you elaborate?
6 months. So for the number of people that live here currently, plus a couple of extended family, 6 months, and that includes water and food, averaging 2,200 calories per day.
So if you needed to, like towards the end of that, you could ration down, spread that a bit longer.
Yeah, you could drop that down.
Yeah. Dave, how long have you got? How long can you survive? How long can you bug in for?
Probably not as long as that, if I'm totally honest, because we have water stored. Water takes up a lot of space, right? So we're going on like 5 liters a day per person. It takes up a lot of space, right? So I'm probably talking about 3 months food, water, medication, first aid, every single thing that we need. Now, after that, I would expect most of the trouble to be out of the way.
Yeah.
And be able to go and do my bits and pieces. And we have provisions in case of any situation, civil unrest, NBC or anything, where we can go and retrieve supplies and come back. You wouldn't believe the equipment we got. I mean, we got boat, we got Land Rovers, we got infrared vision, we got night vision, we got thermal, we got like everything. We've got like everything you can think of. So hopefully we would be able to put that to use in certain situations, going out at night, using night vision, but in general, 3 months probably a push.
Yeah. I'm probably closer to Dave's number than Brian's, closer to about 3 months. If I was just eating normally, if the whole family was eating normally. Luckily, the baby has moved on to normal human food, so don't have to stock extra baby food.
Liquidized Bray Bentos.
She can eat everything we can now. So it's kind of I was less prepared when the baby was on formula and stuff, because you could only stock so much. It's massive, it takes up space. So it's a lot better than it was now. But I have 2 cache locations. One's now dry. 2 cache locations that have extra supplies in and more of the actual prepper freeze dry food, stuff like that. So with them included, I'm looking at 9 months, but just in the house, I'm looking at about 3. Thanks for the question, Learner Prepper. It's a good one. In the comments, give us just a figure. 3 months, 2 years, 1 year. How long do you think you've got bugging in with the food you've got in your house? Let us know in the comments. Let's have a quick look in the comments as well. Make sure I've not missed anything major or any supers or anything like that. Tell the boy, I want to join Dave's group. He wants to be part of the castle crew in a few years' time.
Will be, mate.
Megs asks the similar sort of question. How long bug in? How long could you bug out with family? I think if you're bugging out with family, you'd have to just class that as indefinite. You're only ever going to carry like a week's worth of food, aren't you, when you're bugging out? Maybe a bit more if you've got a big van or something, but it's about what you can find on the road more than anything else. Another question there. I'll start. Rift Security says Mike's cache locations are the charging stations loyalty scheme. Excellent. Love it. I could shoot a pigeon off a doorstep around a mile away. I mean, leave the pigeon alone. He's a mile away.
You're in.
What are you doing with the poor pigeon?
if
You
you're
know,
shooting
so
it
Mike,
and
it's
hitting it a
actually a
mile,
good thing. Can I just jump on that
Yeah.
comment? It's a good thing because literally, if you start feeding the pigeons, I know they're annoying. Now, I did a video on this, and it was only like a Facebook video, and I said like, watch this. So what we did was like we started. There was no activity in the front garden, and then we started feeding them. There was one, there's two, and I said, now look out here. How is that going to feed me? 6 pigeons just sat there on the front, just eating.
Mm.
I mean, literally, that's enough to feed a family of 4 for like a day or two. You know.
Yeah. They're not the smartest creatures as well. Even if there was
No, they just like look at you.
decimated pigeon remains all over the garden, they'd still
But
come for that bread.
the thing is as well, it's like we said before on the last podcast, didn't we? It's like you need to know how to process anything you catch. You need to know how to process it and do it correctly and safely.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah,
Definitely. Right now, not long. Need more water, says Blood Skulls Rocks. It's a common problem, I believe, Blood Skulls, because like Dave said, takes up a lot of storage. There's inventive ways of doing it, like if you've got outbuildings and stuff like that. If you've got water butts, you can collect stuff from rain pipes and that. But what I'd strongly recommend is just ways to filter and clean water. More than storage, rather than having a room full of bottled water, make sure you've got everything in place to filter, whether that's electric filters like the reverse osmosis one I've got, whether it's a Berkey, which everyone should have as standard, the Sawyer Mini. I did a video not so long ago on water filtering. That would be key because storage-wise, it's a nightmare.
there is a discount code on my YouTube, Mike.
There's a discount code. There's a discount code on Dave's YouTube for water to go. And if you want a reverse osmosis machine, there's a discount code on my YouTube. Brian, where's your discount code? Come on.
Hey?
You haven't even got a Pepsi discount code. Absolutely shocking.
it's all for me.
With the flavor of real Diet Cola. Cornish Bob
blocked people for less than that drinking Diet Coke on a live.
It's not even open. I'm still on my coffee. Cornish Bob says 12 months. Good supply there.
Excellent.
Bob. Miss Worm says probably 3 to 4 months. Recently used a lot up. I know Miss Worm was going through a house move, so I think she had to downsize a bit at that point just to get them across. Some preppers have a small stash for invaders to find. Yes. I mean, I've pretty much written off what's in my kitchen cupboards because that's what they expect to find. So my kitchen cupboards is probably do us for a week or 2 weeks. But then there's under the plinths, then there's under the stairs, then there's the actual prep room upstairs.
Thank you. Now we know where it all is.
That's fine. You got to get through me door.
No, but I will. Can I just say, Mike, this is the thing, and I said this before to loads of people, you must have a fake stash. You've got to have a fake stash. So if someone comes in my house and they go, oh, like that, if I don't beat them within 5 minutes of them being in the house and they manage to overpower me, then I can say, look, it's all there. Just take it, where the rest of the stuff will be out of sight.
Yeah.
I think it's a wise thing to do. And you can just chuck a couple of cheap beans and stuff in there, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's whether they know you're a prepper or not, right? Because technically what I'm saying is they will go to the kitchen, they will raid the cupboards, if they're feeling brave, they'll open the fridge and they'll be like last year's meat rotting away. They'll go to the cupboards, right? So if I leave stuff in the cupboards, don't make it look affluent. Don't make, if it's like 3 weeks into SHTF, only leave a few cans there, but you can say that's all we've got. Take it, just leave us alone, sort of thing. Kaza, 4 to 6 months. Anarchy says about 4 weeks. I'm effed. Not necessarily, Anarchy. That's a great start. That's a lot better than a lot of people. And you're looking at about 4 weeks to a month when it's at the stage where most people have ate each other. Well, you know what I mean?
28 days.
28 days, exactly. 28 days, exactly. So that's probably a really good benchmark, Anarchy. But if you could stretch that, it gives you a bit of a safety net. 2 months, says XP. Loads of people adding to that. It's good to see the different levels of preparedness on here and stuff like that.
And they're all pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they're thinking about it.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
good to see.
even if you've got a week's worth of preps on top of your normal shopping, you're more prepared than probably 6 or 7 of your neighbors are. Yeah. So it's a start. Everyone's talking about eating pigeons. UK and prepper, just look like you're starving or trying to eat, or try eating the stuff you cook.
Well, I'm bollocks then. Nobody's going to believe I'm fucking starving.
It's glandular.
Follow the fat guy.
In reality, if SHTF happens, I'm packing and going to my dad's. Due to my disability, I barely cope with normal life. Well, that's your bug out plan then, right?
Yeah,
so just make sure everything is tailored to that. No point stocking 2 months worth of gear if you can't get that to your bug out location. So if bugging out is your plan, then you want to be stocking stuff at your dad's. Can I just leave this here? Can I just have this extra box of food there and stuff like that? So whatever your plan is, just play to that. I think I could go 12 months if absolutely needed, but we would have all our type 2 diabetes for high bread and pasta diets.
Scurvy.
There we go. Right, let's get back to the questions. By the way, gents, I did say it was going to be a long one. If you have to go at any point, by all means, just let me know. I'll just sit here and answer them myself on my own. Who are we up to? Who just answered?
You. It's you.
It's me.
Yeah.
He's just saying that, isn't he? Oh, it's handy. It's me because this question is targeted at me anyway. Philip Hull again says, how is your army application stuff going? Well, Philip, went through the whole process to the point of I went for the interview at the barracks for the regiment I'm joining. Spoke to the captain there. He talked about different intake dates. And basically, we've agreed to wait 6 months. This is why I've started up my keto diet and my fitness channel again, because I'm going to get myself into a shape that I can fly through the medical and I can jump into the training straight away. So it's not on hold, but I'm training now for it. So, but thanks for the question. I'm pretty sure you guys don't have any input. Well, actually, you can have an input.
I do, yeah. Yeah, no, you're saying about the army physical and that. I mean, 2 years ago, I was 49 and I went in through a mock army physical examination.
Mm-hmm.
And I come 8th out of 45 people that were in their 20s, between 16 and 20. And I come 8th. And it was shocking. It was actually shocking. That's not me giving it a big one. It was actually quite hard. But, I did the run in like under the time.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Unfortunately, I'm too old to go in. But it's like I wanted to go there. And I did 10 weeks training at a TA unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but like the physical aspect is a lot of like pretty much what I do any day anyway. So
it's interesting.
You'll be all right,
it's interesting that they wrap them. I know they've got to benchmark it somewhere, but they say under this age you're in, over this age you're out.
Mm.
Yeah, there's people under that age that'll be absolutely useless and no fit at all. People well over that age that'll be fit as a fiddle. I don't know why it can't just be based on the medical and physical test.
A captain said to me when I was up there, he said, I said, I didn't get in because I'm too old, apparently. And he's gone, do you know what? He said, I would rather have you watching my back than after these kids. He said, I went to Afghanistan. He said, and I was with like 2 18-year-old lads. He said, and one of them peed themselves. He said, they were petrified. He said, they had no life skills. They were out there. He said, I was worried, because they couldn't look after themselves. They didn't have that mindset. No matter how well trained they are, he says, if you haven't got that mindset, then he's going to put a word in for you. I said, no, you're all right. Sounds a bit hard. But yeah, you're right. It's a strange thing with the age.
Yeah, it is. And especially if they turn around and said conscription tomorrow, because guarantee you that age would suddenly go from this to, yeah, you can now join. Now you're able to, Yeah, fun and games. Anything to add, Brian?
Nah.
I will add something. Because of my move, I will have to redo my interview because I'll have to join a different regiment. So
It'd be in the Scotch Guards, right?
That's it.
Oh, you'll have a sore time of it up here then.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I look good in a kilt. It's
He
all right.
will.
So we're back around to Dave. Let's base this question is: if you had a budget of £25 a month, what would you do with it? Let's base this question on you have no preps, that you're just starting out. So, Dave, what would you do with that?
Okay, well, the first thing I'll do, 25 quid.
Waitrose gets him a carrier bag. That's it.
Yeah, Waitrose gets me the basket service. Now, I was talking about this to my wife, and it's like, I would always say that the best investment you could get under 30 quid is go and buy yourself a gas cooker and gas bottles. You get them for about between 14 and 20 quid, right? And a can opener, very important, because a lot of people forget a can opener. They've got stacks of tins, and when it comes to it.
Sorry, caveat, multiple can openers because they fail.
Yeah. But literally, the reason I suggest getting a gas cooker, because if the power goes out, you've got something that you can boil a kettle, you can cook some food on, you can boil water if you have to go and purify water. It's like a great all-round tool, but make sure you have enough gas canisters. Work out how long they last and stuff per usage. But 25 quid, definitely a gas canister, cooker, and a couple of can openers.
There you go. Brian, 25 quid. You've no preps at all. Pepsi's out of stock. What are you doing?
Sounds pretty grim, mate, to be honest. I'd probably just buy a noose for 25 quid. No Pepsi. Fuck it, just give up. The world's over.
But as a new prepper, when that loft was empty, 25 quid's your budget. What are you getting?
I'll assume this is the second month and Dave's got the cooker in the first month. Pasta, rice, sauces, meatballs, stewed steak, Irish stew, carbs, calories, protein items, everything that's a meal multiplier, right? But the basics that are cheap. So get some chapati flour, get some rice, get some pasta, get some sauces that you can put in it, get some meat, some cheap protein, and go for there.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, and that's pretty much I've done. Like one of my first videos I was doing was 20 quid prep shops and 25, 30 quid prep shops. And I think if it was the first month, if you were starting prepping for the first time, I would have a split of that £25, and 20 quid would be going for food, 5 quid would be going for water. Yeah. And that would be the same the following month, and you'd build that up. Like Dave said,
I didn't realise it was a monthly thing.
Yeah, well, he said if you had a budget of a 25 quid a month sort of thing, what would you do?
Well, if it's monthly, then obviously there's me saying a gas cooker. I thought it was a one-off purchase.
But it's a good purchase though, because you're going to need it to cook your pasta and your rice.
But literally, they're pretty much what you guys are saying. I mean, because I know how to cook as well. Things like flour. Now, flour, yeast, water, dried milk, dried egg, things like this, and break it up over the time. So make sure you've got a basic supply of flour, because you need bread and powdered milk. Bread and milk, good start.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to be said. I mean, Brian hit all the food groups there, which is great. And having a balanced diet is key, not just for survival, but having the energy to survive and do things after SHTF. But there's a lot to be said for fillers, right, Dave? So if you get a can of meatballs and you got a can of mixed veg, to be able to make a big piece of flatbread to go with that makes all the difference in filling you out and not starving.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
It's a big thing to be said, but great question. Thank you for that. And again, that would just build up over time. And once you've got a nice supply of food, that's when your 25 quid can go on luxuries. And don't be suckered in by all the expensive items all the time. Sometimes quality comes with a price tag, but for £6, you can get a Mora knife, right? You don't have to go and spend £40, £50 on a fancy bushcraft knife. For £6, you can get a Mora knife, and it will last, and it is quality, and it is sharp as a razor. There's all sorts of things you can do. Don't get sucked down the trap of prepper being a fashion thing. I saw that at the last prepper meet I went to. People are worried about, oh, I've got this brand of stuff, oh, I've got this, or people are going to judge me. No, you're surviving. You're doing it to your budget. That's what matters. Anyway, almost went on a rant there.
But you're right, though.
Speaking of £25 you can spend, Miss Worm has posted the merch shop. That's how you can spend your last £25 on a T-shirt and possibly a hat for that. There you go. Scanning. I'm going to have to scan through these comments quickly, people. I do apologize. I'll try and keep an eye out for the block capitals or the super chats, but there's too many. I can't see powdered eggs anywhere, says Band again.
Oh, they're out there. They're expensive, but they're there.
Any tips, Brian? Oh, Dave, go
on, Brian.
No, I was just going to say that, they're out there, but they're really, really expensive.
I mean, I've got some off Amazon. It wasn't Amazon. It was like a link through Amazon. So basically, I got a 1 kilo pack of eggs, and it was something like $18.99. So like Brian says, it wasn't cheap. So literally, like what we do every now and then is we just stock up with a bit of that when we got a bit of spare money, because the way I look at it is if you've got powdered eggs, you've got flour, you've got yeast, you've got milk, you've got sugar stored, you can bake cakes as well. And what's good for morale in a shit hits the fan situation, you got Joe Blogg sitting there eating scraps off the floor, and you're eating like a prime Victoria sponge. Like, do you get me? It's like it's so adaptable.
Yeah. Can you make your own?
Yeah, you dehydrate it.
If you go freeze dryer.
Is it freeze dry or dehydrate, or is it both as an option?
You can do both, but the freeze dryer's better.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'd like to see somebody dehydrate some eggs. I think that would be hilarious. I
dehydrate that. You can do that, Brian, because I dehydrated chilies, and literally I was ill for about 4 days because the whole house had pepper spray. It was like literally because the fan out the back. I was literally we got these red hot chili peppers that we grew at the allotment. So my wife's gone, we're dehydrating and make chili powder. I was like, brilliant idea. So I'm going out there and I've gone to the kitchen and I can't breathe. And my eyes were streaming, and then it went through the whole house. We ended up having to plug the dehydrator outside, running on an extension, and have it outside because it was volatile.
That's brilliant.
There you go. Well, lesson learned. Do it outside if you're doing chilies, definitely.
I keep looking at the freeze dryer. It's a lot of money though, but it's tempting.
Apparently, Anna dehydrates eggs on her food and lifestyle channel. So there you go. Anna's food and lifestyle. She is a prepper who has a channel on here. Great little channel. So go and check that out and see how she dehydrates eggs. And Brian, you can have some lessons from Anna. We'll get her to come round to your house and give you a few lessons.
Don't think my wife would be so keen, to be honest.
For lessons, Brian, just stop leering on people. It'll be all right.
Listen, there's a fine line between pervert and actual healthy interest, and the longer you're married, the more blurred that line gets.
She watches this show, Brian.
She does. If you hear a sort of 5-foot Tasmanian Dizzle screaming in the background, that's her coming up the stairs to dispense some authority.
We were up to Brian's question, right?
Yep.
Oh no.
Oh no. This is a long one from Kelly's Eye. Protecting your assets is perhaps the most critical issue. Given the restrictions on personal protection, what would you advise on keeping your stash from theft? So this is not about personal protection. This is not about the tools of the trade. It's about how do you stash your stuff away, you know.
One, don't do what we're doing. Don't tell anybody about it. Right.
Failed.
Failed. Aye, well that's it. But I'm not that worried. So, first one, don't tell anybody. Second one, like Dave had said earlier, and yourself, Mike, have a sacrificial lamb right in the house. Oh no, please, Mr. Burglar, take this large pile of easy to carry shit that you won't stab me and my family to death for. Take that. It's like if you're being mugged and you throw your wallet in the ground. If they really want the wallet, they'll take it while you leg it. Same with your sacrificial supply. right? Something that they can carry and run away, but break up your food into little, hold on a minute. Buy these, they're relatively cheap, they're lightweight, you can bury them. I assure you can bury them, and you can put some stuff in there as well, some spare medical kits. See the stuff we're talking about for 25 quid? Buy a barrel, spend your 25 quid, fill that with shit, right? Bury them.
Right. Top tip on that one. I've got barrels that size. I've got the smaller ones with the red screw-on lids, and I've got the large ones. The most I've ever paid is a tenner. Go to places that sell spices, especially like the big Asian food supermarkets and stuff like that. They get deliveries in them. They serve it out of them, and it's usually in a plastic bag, and then they get rid of them. If you speak to them, they'll sell them you dirt cheap because it saves them getting rid of them. So top tip on how you can do that cheap as well. Anything added to that, Dave? How you protect your food and your stash?
I think the thing is to make it not obvious. I mean, as well, it's things like floorboards. I mean, in my house, I live in an 1830s Victorian semi, right? I only rent it. I'm not rich or anything, right? So it's like under our house,
okay.
The entire house is full of Waitrose steak. No, the underneath of the house is literally got a 4-foot crawl space under the whole lot, but it's all under floorboards. You wouldn't know that unless you live there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like and it's sectioned, which is really clever how they did it. So where most places used to have a cellar, like under my stairs, you lift the floorboards, there's like a drop chamber that's probably about 4 foot square, and it's all bricked off. And you go in the hallway, there's another chamber in the shape of the hallway. It's really clever how it's done. So like basically what I'm saying is try and keep it not obvious. You know, I'm not saying like brick it up in the walls or like bury it too far away or anything like that. But you know, it's things like the loft are quite obvious. If I was going somewhere, I would go to someone's loft or under their stairs. Do you know what I mean? Or in their cupboards. But I think under floorboards, in walls, like, you know,
it's more effort than you're going to do in that frenzy. So it's like, in that frenzy of looting, you're in and out, right?
Yeah. If someone goes into your house, it's like if I was going to do a storm on a house, I would look around, like, because I have the knowledge of stuff, I would look in random places. But most people, and when I was in training, right, they showed us how they did this. So when they go in a house and they're searching for stuff, literally, they would go in, they kick doors open, they'd look in cupboards, they go under the stairs, you know, they go in the shed, they look in the back garden, see if there's anything like that, you know, any loose floorboards that they're walking on, they would see the loft hatch. It's I would think about putting things that, like Mike said, are difficult, more trouble than it's worth. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's going to come in your house and start ripping floorboards up.
They'll go to the next house. It's just as easy to go to the next house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if you plan that right, it can be done really easily. It's not like you've got to start getting a claw hammer out and pulling your floorboards up. If you cut yourself a hatch, if you make sure it's easy access, but then cover it with a rug, it's, you know, it's not going to be majorly difficult in the situation as long as you pre-plan that. Brian, yeah.
Just add something on to the end of that about protecting your stash. Watch what you show. If people are smelling your culinary delights wafting out the window, or worse, you're cooking it in the garden, right, then they're going to see and they're going to smell what you've got. Also, your trash is another issue. If you've got lots of tins of beans and shit and all this sort of stuff in your garden, and you're not disposing of your waste properly for a start, but people will watch for that and see that.
Yeah.
So be careful of your garbage disposal, because it's basically show and tell for people that want to might have a look.
Yeah, definitely. The waste thing's a dead giveaway as well. But I mean, you've always got the argument, oh yeah, that was the last one. That was my last Frey Bentos. That was my last Pepsi, Brian.
Look at this malnutrition hanging off me. Can't you see I'm starving?
Oh dear. Right. Okay. So let's go right. Hang on. How many have we got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're getting through them.
Back to you, Mike.
We're getting through them. Every time it comes to me, it's a short one. I love it.
That's what she said.
Kelly, she never said that right. Telling lies. She said distinctly average.
It's okay, Mike. I like the little ones.
It's when they go, oh, that's when you
Isn't it cute?
Anyway, back on topic. Jesus Christ. Kelly I 7224. Do you go it alone or develop a network? Well, I think for me that's pretty obvious. I mean, if I wasn't interested in networking, I don't think I'd have ever started the channel. It's not just to help other people. It's not just for me to learn. It's about that network. And that's been the goal since day one. And we're a year into this channel and we've organized our first meet, which is the success has been unreal. We've nearly ran out of spaces. We're going to have to stop bookings very soon. So we've got our first meet organized. I've met these awesome guys here who are part of the Fireside. I've met Brian in person. I'm going down seeing Dave at some point this year. We're organising that. So the networking is key for me. And if I'm forced to, I will go it alone. It depends what happens and the situation I'm in. I could be on holiday somewhere completely different, isolated from everyone I know, when it hits the fan. So you've got to be prepared to go it alone, but I want to network. Dave?
Well, networking is definitely a way forward. I mean, I took your advice and watched that film, The Survivalist, and I was like, oh my word. It made me cringe for how bad he was for a survivalist, and he did it on his own. But it goes to prove my point that a lone wolf is never going to do well, because it's like, I had loads of people, because I've got Facebook groups, loads of people say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go on my own, I'm going to do this. And I said, but you can't keep guard and sleep at the same time. I said, you can't fish and forage at the same time. I said, like, you can't do all these things on your own. So you need other people. And then the thing is, when you get with other people, you have to kind of put your differences aside, because we're all from different religions, beliefs, politics, everything like that. And the problem is, when the shit hits the fan, all that will have to go out the window for a community to survive.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me because one member of my group's a hippie, and it's like, and I'm just like, no, I was like sweating. No, it was like dreadlocks. Never. No, you can't cut. No. Well, actually, we're good mates now. It's
He's got all the herbal remedies though, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, you have to kind of put your prejudices aside and look more on a basic human level. So it's like, Brian might be like Scottish, for instance, but like, he knows his shit, But
we tolerate him. It's fine.
Yeah.
Why the fuck?
But it's like, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, you can get someone that in the real world now, you wouldn't give them the time of day. They're not your type of person. Not that you've got anything against them, but you wouldn't cross paths, because me and the hippie guy, we just wouldn't gel, No. But in a survival situation, he's got skills that he could bring. I've got skills I can bring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you need.
Prepping crosses all them borders, as far as I'm concerned. Whether it's here or whether it's in the United States, whether you're left hand of politics, right hand of politics, down the center, complete extreme, there's preppers of all different, every walk of life, right? And like I say, when it comes to the crunch,
cheeky bastards.
He's reading the comments.
I'm just reading the comments.
We'll get there. But when
I don't get the comments there,
when it comes down to the crunch of it, it's going to be a case of, like you say, it's about skill sets. It's irrelevant who you voted for in the last election when it's all gone up in flames, right? So, anything to add, Brian?
Comment.
Sorry, go on.
Comment. Joy the Grey. Hi, he might be Scottish, but he knows his stuff. That's a t-shirt.
Yeah. That's the one. Cheeky bastards.
There you go.
Thanks very much.
I'll star that comment. I can make a t-shirt, not a problem. Brian, anything to add on go it alone or develop a network?
That's a fool's errand, the go it alone thing. Mm-hmm. It'll last for a couple of days, but ultimately you're only ever one slip, trip or fall, one accident away from your zero prepper, never mind one prepper. Because you have nobody to watch your back, you have nobody to help you when you get hurt, you fall down, you need to rest. And even your mental health, when when you've reconciled after 3 or 4 days that you're not actually John Rambo, that you can't sleep at night because every twig that breaks, you think somebody else that's on their own is going to come and murder you for a tin of beans. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But family for me first. Fortunate my brothers have the same sort of disturbed mindset as myself, and we bounce a lot of stuff daily off one another. In fact, see for like say this, he's usually got a list of things. Say this to Mike, and I would do this, and I would do that. And so he's quite nice. Keen. And family, then extend it to friends. Talk about it with neighbours. Talk about it with people in the work setting.
What do you think, Brian? Do you think about reliability? Because when I've done community, I've actually met. I set up a community meet from my Facebook prepper group, and we met. I think it was about 15 people, men, women, children. They brought their kids with them. We all sort of like joined out. Really good. But the thing is, the reliability of trying to maintain that contact with people is a nightmare. You know it yourself. When's the last person someone phoned you that like before you phoned them? It's really difficult to keep up that contact and keep in with them. And then when the shit hits the fan, they'll be like, "Oh, Dave, well, where have you been for the last 2 years? Like, not a phone call, you know." And it gets a bit like that. So
we spoke about that.
Yeah.
Myself and my brother spoke about it, and he's very much of the opinion that you should look at doing a mutual assistance group, and people would be interested. For novelty factor, for the first couple of minutes, hours, or whatever they might be, but they'll get fed up going for a walk, being cold, being told you need to spend money, right? Because that 25 quid a month, that might be going towards the holiday fund or whatever, a couple of beers, or there's always going to be a better reason to spend that. And you're telling them how to spend their money or offering suggestions, or you're bouncing ideas off. Nobody's going to want that. And that's my opinion. That's not his opinion. So for me, it's just not worth the hassle.
Yeah. I think it's.
I think.
Yeah, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think if shit hit the fan, the fact that you had some stuff as a bargain position, you had some skills and other tools and things, that would put you in a good position to sort a mutual assistance group out in day 1 to 3, because you would have to. And they would have to listen at that point because they're fucked. So that natural leverage of the situation was more my kind of thought process.
I think it's like what I was saying. Sorry, we're rabbiting on here, mate. But out of those, when I set up that community and stuff like that, I only stay in touch with literally 3 people out of the 13. The rest have like literally just gone, and they're still on my group and stuff, but they don't get in touch. We haven't arranged anything else because their mentality is not what it needs to be for a community survival thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because I said, we'll meet once every couple of months, not like weekly, not best friends. And I think this is the problem. It's like not enough people give a shit about other people. We're all wrapped up in our own world, you know, when it's like if Mike said to me, "Mate, I'm feeling down, like, can I come down and like we go and do something?" I'd be like, "Yeah, okay." You know, it's like we might not see each other for another few months or something, but do you know what I mean? It's like, and I think this is where we have become so wrapped up in ourselves that people don't realize that, like, you know, they've got to make an effort. Like sometimes you have to make an effort to check if someone's all right. I do it all the time. I'm a great, and this is the thing. It's I just saw that comment there. It rings a bell, and it does.
Yeah.
So if you get in a community,
society.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's good about this, the whole prepping community, because I mean, my impression of preppers when I first started prepping, well, I was prepping before, but I didn't call it that. When I first started and like looking at YouTube and stuff like that, you can imagine the top of the search results that came up. So my first impression of preppers was like, yeah, these are a bit too nuts for me, sort of thing. And a lot of them were banging on about OPSEC. Yeah, don't trust anyone, don't tell anyone, blah, blah, blah. But I think the community we've built here, like Dave said, you know, if somebody's down or upset, we're there, we're talking, you know, we get people through stuff. I mean, the donations I've had of people, in hard times have been amazing, and we've also raised money for like Suburban Preppers who's in there when he suffered hard times, and we do our charity events. The community is amazing, it really is. So people in the comments, I apologize, I've not got to your questions. We're trying to do the ones where people put them in first, but we're nearly through them, and then we'll jump onto yours straight after. I have starred them. We've got them saved. Don't worry. Brian. It's Brian. Brian. We did a live the other night that started to get a bit heated in the chat. This question seems to reminisce. David's Tillstone 4814. How ready would you be if you were in a similar position to those in the LA fires and had to evacuate with short notice? No jokes, no comedy, no smiling.
Yeah, I could go now.
Yeah, that's what it'd be, right? It's not about, we said before, it's not about fighting the fire. It's about getting out, right?
I would jump, grab the dogs, grab the wife, grab the kids. Notice the priority here. And jump in the camper van and away. She's going to kill me when I come downstairs.
She was ahead of the kids. Fair play. She was ahead of the kids.
So, yeah, there's enough power, light, toilet, electricity that it's my bug out plan. If that situation I'd grab a couple of bags on the way out the door and I could leave the house and be good for within 5 to 15 minutes.
Are you ready for that situation where it is like LA, where the potential is you're not going to come back to anything about charred remains? So does them bug out bags include vital documents, anything like that?
I've got enough stuff on an electronic format spread across multiple platforms, even on the cloud and emailed and things, that I could access it if I had to, insurance documents and things. But I would lose 95% of my stuff.
Yeah.
If it was a catastrophic event, like the whole block went up in flames, I would lose I'd pretty much lose everything, apart from what I could carry, and apart from a few things that I've got located.
I've just thought, when Brian's house catches, the smell of Frey bentos and cooking Pepsi would fill half of Scotland.
That would be the least of the troubles if it caught fire, mate.
Well, I know this, but I wasn't going there. Dave, obviously, the LA fires, it's horrendous what's going on, and it's even more horrendous the response they've had from a lot of the authorities and how it's being handled. But in that situation where you are, if it was to spread like that and it was coming, you got a wall of fire coming towards you, how ready would you be?
Well, pretty ready, yeah. I mean, it'd never happen here. I would say 100% it would never happen because I live on the coast. So it would have to be some sort of like
LA's on the coast. Just throw
but it's like we're kind of like we're unimportant.
Yeah,
LA's very important. Anyway,
we're going down the conspiracy route.
The thing is with that, it's like I don't believe it will happen here. No. Right, I just don't. But if a fire did happen and that, then yes, we could. I have routes to the coast. I have routes underground. When I say the coast,
is it bags ready at the door?
Yeah. We got bags ready with like all the stuff we need. Like you've seen my videos of bug out bags and stuff. Like so, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the similar. I've got a bug out bag for me. I've not really got one for her. It's kind of integrated, but I do have 2 boxes. I have my folding bug out boxes. One is already filled with everything you need for like starting fires, cooking, and stuff like that, and then one is empty. And with time on my side, the empty one lives next to a kitchen cupboard where it can be pulled out, opened, filled with everything I can, and then them 2 boxes, them 2 crates, fit in the back of the car with the parcel shelf on, so you can't see them perfectly, and that is my bug out on there. Bags can go on the back seat, so that's where I'm at with it. I think I'm pretty ready for something like that. Again, I'm like Dave. I don't think it'll happen over here, but I will not say never.
Never say never.
I will not be one of those guys that say it won't happen to me and then not prepare for it. So that's the main thing. The lesson to learn is it can happen. And I'm sure people over there thought it would never happen to them. What advice would you give to someone in their early 20s just starting out in today's world regards to preparedness? I wasn't prepping in my early 20s. You don't want to know what I was doing in my early 20s.
Go with the number of kids you've got. We can fucking figure it
out. No, genuinely, my biggest advice to somebody that young, God, I'm saying early 20s is that young. It makes me feel old. But anyway, would be avoiding the mainstream media and avoiding the fear mongering, right? We could tell you till the cows come home what you need to buy, what you need to prep, where you need to put it, where you need to live, etc. That's all personal choice and that's all personal circumstances. But just getting your information and news source from reliable places, multiple sources, and do your own research. Yeah. Sometimes what they tell you is not actually what's happening. And I don't want to be a complete tinfoil hat person there. Do keep an eye on the news. Do keep an eye on the mainstream media, but take it with a pinch of salt and make sure early doors you start networking before anything else. That would be me. Advice for the 20-year-olds, Dave?
Right. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I was the same. I was a writer, but
here's the advice: don't be like me, don't be like Dave, and probably I'm guessing Brian.
No, right. So I think let's take away from all the money things and stuff like that, right? The three things I say if you're starting out in prepping, there's three things that most preppers don't have that you can have at the start, which is situational awareness, local knowledge, and common sense, right? If you get that to start off with, you're 50% ahead of most preppers, right? So it's like, see what's going on in the world, see what's going on in your local area, know your local area well, and have a bit of common sense, right? The rest will follow. Start joining prepper groups, have a little look, but again, situational awareness, you can see through who is who and see who's providing valuable content or information and who's just there making money and spreading propaganda.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's propaganda, hearsay, and reality. If you live by reality, then you're going to do all right. Don't listen to the propaganda. Don't listen to the he said, she said. Just live in reality. So, so situational awareness, local knowledge, and common sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, wise word for an old boy.
Advice coming in here: learn skills, get as fit as you can, look after your teeth. Definitely, I should have done that a bit more in my youth. Nothing to do with chemicals that specifically rot your teeth when you use them, but we won't go there. Brian, anything to add for advice to the 20-year-olds?
You're 20, have fun, right? Live your life.
In regards to preparedness, it does say on the end.
That as well, but bear in mind that their situation is going to be a bit more unique. They've got a lot to learn from people who might not be as physically fit and active as they are. So the skills, all the other stuff that Dave's covered as well, 100% that. What they bring to the party isn't the experience, but they've got physicality and energy levels that their relations, their mother and father don't have. So they've got their place within the prepper tier and they can add to that. But they should be learning skills. Go to a martial arts club, get fit, go to the gym, right? Get educated in the right way from the right sources, and don't let it play on your mind all the time. Make it fun. Find a hobby. Go to archery. Go to MMA with Dave. All these skills that you're learning should enhance your life, not detract from it. So have fun.
Yeah. There's loads of anyone looking in the chat can see there's loads of tips and stuff in there. I was trying to highlight a couple of them. But yeah, there's being kind to your knees.
Definitely.
Good one from Miss Worm. I wish somebody had told me that when I was 18. Don't get into that and pay off your mortgage as soon as you can. But yeah, somebody also mentioned there won't be pensions in 10 years' time because the UK will be bankrupt. So maybe your pension should be gold and silver stacking, potentially. Consider that. Right. It's Dave. Back to you. We're getting through them. Is everyone all right?
Okay? I'm just thinking from training. Yeah, I'm good.
Zebra Prep, one of our members said, is there a video tutorial you could recommend about storing food properly, or have any of the hosts done one on Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers? Dave, you done any videos on this?
No. Right. That's nice, easy, weren't it?
There you go. Next question.
No, the reason is it's like because we are a lot of we do a lot of canning and preserving, which is basically preserves most of the stuff we have, dehydration and stuff like that. When we store stuff, I use oxygen absorbers and stuff like that, but I use it in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it, this whole, and I did a test on this. I should have actually done a video on it, but we got a bag of flour, just a bag of flour in its wrapper,
Mm-hmm.
stuck it in a plastic container with an oxygen absorber in there, right? Stuck a bag of flour just in the cupboard, right, on the shelf, right, and left it for 6 months. Nothing wrong with either.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. And this is the problem. You have to realize is that, like, as long as the storage is correct. I mean, this is a big American thing, and I get it. Like with the whole Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers, and like having 17 layers. As long as you're avoiding moisture and pets and damage,
Yeah,
then it should be okay. Store and sunlight, obviously. So store in a cool, dark area. Right, I've had bags of flour that sit on the side, and we reuse it. And we're talking. I mean, I'm using wheat at the moment, pure wheat that's like 3 years out of date.
yeah.
It's not specially stored. It's kept in its bags and it's kept on a shelf in the pantry.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's like, I mean, if it's something you want to do, then there's probably plenty of people out there doing it. But for me, I've never seen no great benefit, because being a prepper, you should also be stock rotating.
Yeah. It should be
And this is a thing a lot of people don't do. And I didn't do it first, but you need to go in there. It's like going to the back. Oh, this corned beef's like from 1982. Oh my God, right? You know, but like the one
that'll be a video.
Yeah. But it's like, you get it, don't you? So it's like, I've never had a reason to use this thing. What I do is in the pantry, I put things in plastic boxes, and I'll just chuck an oxygen absorber in the plastic box, keep it in its natural wrapping. You know, I don't do all this decanting and putting into Mylar bags and stuff. And I've been fine for literally, well, I'm still alive. Yeah. And I've been doing this for like 10 years.
I think people have this impression that they've got to do that because when you look at like Hollywood side of things and prepping side of things, you're talking about 20 years, you're talking about 10 years, right? So that's the difference, right? Are you prepping for 6 months, or are you, do you honestly think you're going to have that Mylar bag sealed for 10 years? Or is it for somebody else's benefit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think most likely for someone else's benefit.
I think I'm a bit of both. Like I've got stuff in the original wrapper and the original packaging. Things like rice, I think, is an absolute joke. If you store it like in a nice dry place, it's fine. In this country, we put a sell-by date on rice. Bang, there you go. 1 year, it's off. Other countries, the older the rice gets, the more valuable it is. Just throwing that out there. What's your thoughts on the this side of things, and have you done any videos on it, just out of curiosity?
Yes, I have done a video on it, and I've already linked it in the chat.
Awesome.
There's a million videos on using Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers, and even at that, I got it wrong. I fired one in with some sugar. I put some C300 oxygen absorbers in, which will give you a nice big brick. So
but
it's fine. You can still use
away.
It. You'll be chipping it off, right? How many chips do you want with your tea tonight?
Yeah.
The canning thing and all the rest of it, Dave's idea, that's a great way. I've never done it. It's something I need to look into, is pressure canning. The Mylar one for me is because I'm a lazy prepper, and it boils down to maintenance. So I go short-term, mid-term, long-term. Short-term cans, that kind of crap. Try and rotate it into the pantry. Try and use it up. Put fresh stuff in. Mark up new dates. Short-term, stuff that I'll normally eat, stuff that I can eat. Medium-term, rat packs. I've ate rat packs on a video that were 8, nearly 10 years old, some of them. They were fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. So they're medium-term. They're maintenance-free. Long-term, 25-year shelf life stuff, freeze-dried. But I'll buy bulk flour, pasta, rice, and then do a batch of Mylar with oxygen absorbers. Heat seal it, mark what's on it, the quantity, dates, put it in a plastic box, fire it in the shed, and forget about the fucking thing after I've gaffer taped all the lid. In my mind, that's a lazy prep. and it's something that I know will be there and I can forget about it, I'll go and check on it every 6 months and make sure nothing's ate through the side. But other than that, it's a lazy prep for me. Right. I don't need to maintain it. The tins and stuff, there's an element of maintenance, agitating them, checking the dates, using them, rotating them. So that's as much maintenance as I want because I'm a lazy bastard. Engineers, as a rule, are lazy people, so you might try and make your life easy. So I'll go with the tins and rotating. Medium-term stuff like the rat packs, I can use if I'm camping. But other than that, that's my ethos on it, for rightly or wrongly.
Is it an engineer's is it an engineer's phrase? Work smart, not hard.
No, usually as it wasn't me. It was fucked when I got there, mate.
There you go.
That's the normal one. It was the back shift that broke it. But then again, I don't fix anything anymore, so it's not my problem. I just point out other people's problems.
Polonium says, I found some flour from 2008 at the back of the cupboard the other day. I was about to make Mike's flatbread. Do it. Try it. Your body will tell you, your senses will tell you if it's good or not, right? Dave, what's the telltale signs for flour to know whether to use it or not?
The thing is like obviously moisture and flour don't mix well. Okay, so any damp, any moisture in the air, it's going to destroy it. Weevils and pests and stuff like that. I mean, you can see the little black dots. If you open the flour, you can see the little tiny black dots moving around in there. But it's I've got to be honest, in all my years of prepping, I've never had it. We just store bags of flour in the thing on the side. We open them up. We can just check. I'll just run my fingers through the top just to check there's no damage on the packet. It's good to go.
Yeah, yeah. And
we can, and that smells and taste. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, visually wise, if it's dry, if it's white, if it's clear, probably is good to go. What's the oldest flour you think you've used, Dave? Because obviously Polonium said the flour was from 2008. Which I think of not that long ago, but it's actually what's that? That's like 16 years. 16 years, is that right?
Yeah.
17 years.
I've got to be honest. I mean, you think they're still finding things like ration packs and stuff for like 50 years in the Vietnam War and stuff that some of it's edible. But I think anything with storage. I mean, if I was in a survival situation and I went to the cupboard and there was a bag of flour that was 20, 30 years old, right? Now, flour has a long shelf life. They reckon up to 25 years if it's stored correctly. Now, organic wheat grain can pretty much last forever. So it's like we store a lot of organic wheat grain and then we grind it into the flour as we need it and store it like that. I would use it. As long as the visual signs are there, I would use it.
Yeah. We will all remember the Preppers Fireside talking about Dave and grinders. So. Iconic episode. Iconic. Thank you for that, Polonium. If you do the flatbread, put less salt in. I've got shouted at multiple times for the amount of salt I put in that when I was rigging it up. We can eat the bugs with the flour. There we go.
It's all protein, right?
It's all protein. Okay, let's get through the next one. Sorry, I keep losing my place because of this. Who are we on?
I thought it's Brian or you. It's not me.
No, it's Brian. We'll go Brian. Have you mapped your local area and its vulnerabilities and altered your preps accordingly, e.g. if you have a power or water substation nearby? How much local recon have you done, Brian?
Lots, since I've always lived here for 50 odd years. So yeah, I know the area pretty well for miles round about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I would probably bug into if the house was untenable, artesian springs, wood sources, possible avenues of people that are new to the village that would come in and try and take things. Aye. Yeah.
And have you changed any of your preps? Because it says, have you altered your preps accordingly? Are you prepping for the potential of that where you can't be in the house?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've prepped around the premise that I would stay within this local area, not necessarily within this house.
Yeah.
And how you could secure the local area, if that makes any sense, and its resources and that kind of stuff.
If you live in a village and there's one way in and one way out, then you can quickly become a community that's quite secure. Dave, any thoughts on that?
Have you mapped out? Yeah, I mean, I'm a big advocate of mapping out your local area.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that you can find. I mean, like, as you know, it's like I do my tunnels, urbexes. I found a school and I found an abandoned tunnel system under a school that nobody else knows about pretty much. It's literally food sources, fuel sources, you know, petrol, gas, all sorts of stuff like that. And the only way I've kind of changed my preps is like I've actually prepped less physical food and stuff and relied more on the skills. Now I know the areas, I know what I'm doing. It's like I find that I don't have to worry about being, if I got kicked out of the house and there was no food, I would be able to go and find food and water. I know how to hunt, I know how to skin, I know how to trap, I know how to forage, you know, I know how to fish, even with little hobo reels and stuff like that. So I think it's like the more I've explored my local area and the local surrounding areas, I've relied less on the supermarkets to provide the stuff. Does that make sense?
I
still
definitely
keep a base set, but
yeah. I mean, there's nothing I'd really add to either of that, to be fair. I think it's become more of a priority for me because I've moved quite a bit, like with relationship breakups and stuff like that. Brian's lived in the same area for 50 years. You naturally know what's there, right? You just happen to pass this, that, and the other all the time. But if you move to an area and you're genuinely concerned and you're prepping for something that could happen soon, I would definitely make a conscious effort, like Dave says, to go and explore and to go and find out these things. And just, they'd be amazed what you can find in your local library about plans around your area and drains and all sorts of things like that as well. So worth a look. Are you going to say something there, Brian?
I was going to say, for talking sake, say it's a local village you've moved into. Talk to the locals that are there about what the village used to be like in the past, where the old aqueducts were, the old wells were, what the industry was like. Look at buildings that are overgrown. The history will speak to what your future is going to be like, because you can possibly repurpose some of it if you find out where all the golden oldies knew where the good stuff is.
I just found out the place I've got as my storage unit has a spring underneath it, and the start.
Yeah, you had it in your shelter.
That was above. But yeah, it's interesting to know these things just randomly, because especially something like that, because if you've got a storage unit or a stash somewhere, find out about that area as well, not just where you live, where you're bugging out to. And like Dave says, if you've got a bug out location, do the research along the route. If you can't be above ground, try be below ground, so on and so forth.
I'll tell you one thing, Mike, sorry, that I add to that. I found a bug out location, which is an abandoned hoverport near the coast, right? So went there one day and I was scoping it out, never been there before, and I thought, like, I checked the route. Then literally right there I found smugglers' tunnels that lead back into the town from this area.
Somebody said in the chat that you were a pirate in disguise earlier.
That was earlier.
That's funny.
Yeah. but the smugglers' tunnels, we also, like, some of my videos on foraging are actually from this area. So we didn't even know this place existed, because no one goes there. So literally we went down there and I had a look online and had a little look at the plans and stuff. And then I found sort of like smugglers' tunnels, foraging areas, caves, loads of stuff that I didn't know was there. But it's definitely local knowledge is key.
Yeah, go exploring. It's fun, if nothing else, right, Dave? Urbex is brilliant. It's great fun.
Absolutely.
Right? If you do it, as long as you do it safely. If you want to know how to do it safely, go and check out Dave's channel. He will show you all the top tips, and he'll show you how much difference a bit of light can make as well. That was a cool video.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Definitely. Right, we're back around to me. Oh, look, it's a short one again for me. Oh, I don't know how
it's almost as if this was planned.
Where do babies come from?
He knows that one.
The stalk brings them. Rift Security 01 says, what made you start your preparedness journey? We will go around the board on this. We'll try and keep it as short as possible. I think we've all answered this because we've all been on the podcast with me, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I've always kind of had that mindset. I did a video a while ago where I showed people around my mum's house who is not a prepper. Turns out she's more of a prepper than she realized. And that's where it kind of rubs off that way. Obviously, the military kind of rubs off in that way as well. What started me seriously was looking into things like the Carrington event and looking into things about how brittle the grid is and infrastructure like that. And that kind of stepped me one step up into serious. So that's the short and sweet version for me. Dave, what started you on your preparedness journey?
Right, short and sweet. I've always been a fan of Little House on the Prairie.
God, I remember
that. Literally, I've always been a fan of the homesteading, pioneering lifestyles. I've always looked into stuff like that. But what it done for me is when I realised on the London riots, how it can affect your urban area, where you live, and stuff like that.
Is that the Duggan ones, was it?
Yeah, the big ones. I think 2000. I don't know.
The Duggan riots, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the big riots in London. It just made me see how fragile the people were around it once they had no shops, and it's and again, it's happened here. I live in a coastal town, but we've had like riots. I've been in the middle of riots before. It can happen anywhere,
Dave was starting them, but he was still in the middle. Brian, what started you on your preparedness journey?
Bad weather, basically. Bad winter. Kids were younger. I was faced with the fact that there was limited food in the house. Roads were all shut. You're the father. There's nothing I felt really helpless and bad that I'd let it get to the situation that the kids didn't have any food in the house. So I had to trudge up to the shop. Shop had one till, people were queued back, shelves were stripped. And this was only a bit of a bad snow, but it hit the supply chain for 2 weeks. So at that point, that was a catalyst for me that I wouldn't let it get that bad again, that it put my family at risk.
Yeah. It's scary that sometimes it takes a learning curve. I've been trapped in traffic jam for 22 hours at one point. And
did you forget to charge the car?
This was before the electric car. This was before the electric. This was before prepping took a step into serious. I always had a pantry full of food, but this was before it took serious, and I didn't have anything in my car. I had the normal, usual breakdown stuff, but I had nothing to sustain me for 22 hours. I was pretty much starving and I had to go and skive off a couple of the truck drivers who had supplies. But yeah, it's scary when something like that happens and it gives you a sharp kick into reality. Miss Worm, I started when they brought the Ebola patients to the UK. There you go. I started because of the Cold War, says Paul Thomas. Alaskan TV Living was a great series. There you go. That's the one.
I'm just watching that at the moment.
Full of Hope says, I grew up off-grid. Guess I was always this way. I mean, that's a hell of an advantage to have. You've lived that lifestyle, so that's really cool. Full of Hope. Anyone else put theirs? I started in 2018 for when I retire, which happens this year. There you go. Didn't say why, but started. Cool.
It's good insurance to have in it.
Kelly's eye must have been subconscious decision for me. Moved to a very rural area back in 2008 and have been aiming towards 100% off-grid ever since. There you go.
I'd love to go off-grid 100%.
That was payback for all the Pepsi jokes I didn't see. Originally, I started to inflation-proof myself ahead of retirement, but weather events got me into the alternate power and cooking arrangements. CJ says, England as an island, we are screwed.
100% right.
They'll close the borders once shit hits the fan and no escape, although can't protect currently. They will quickly close them once shit hits the fan. Are all part of their plan. There we go. Evacuated Houston from a hurricane. Horrible experience. 20 hours to get to the airports. There you go.
Scary shit.
Amazing. It's amazing how many people didn't just say, "Oh, I thought it'd be a good idea," and just started. It's always an event, right? That drama documentary got me started.
Do you know, we were talking about this the other day. In fact, yesterday, we were talking about generators and power banks and things with my brother. And I was talking about the complacency factor, about this is great that people are prepping. My worry is that they stop, right? Because the clapping after COVID, the happy clappers all stopped. All the protection and looking after yourself, all the good neighbours, all that shit all stopped.
Yeah.
And we were talking about a grid down situation. I said, well, I think people would buy generators and power banks very quickly if they were available. And see, after about a year and a half,
you'd
Facebook
get them
Marketplace,
dirt deep on eBay,
yeah, that's all the time. There would be no shit. This has happened. I better be prepared for if it happens again. It would be once that initial crisis was over, it'd be bollocks that they'd be on Marketplace.
How many people do you think still have masks and like the alcohol gel and stuff like that in the houses? How many people do you reckon held on to it? I bet
loads.
It's all
not many.
I don't know. Do you reckon loads? Do you reckon loads?
Yeah,
kept it?
I mean, it's like literally. The thing is like, without getting too conspiracy, because you know me, it's like the thing is the way this whole thing was handled was definitely everything they did was subliminal to people. Like, I knew people that were actually quite decent people that were actually petrified. There's me, I'm going out licking people trying to catch diseases just so I can check if it's real. But like, you know, and I get a lot of people are still living in fear because now they're coming out with the bird flu thing, aren't they? You know, and I think it's like, I think a lot of people are expecting the next one, you know?
Yeah.
I think you'll be surprised, Mike.
Well, maybe. I hope you're right, because it means
pleasantly
everyone's a bit more
surprised.
prepared. Yeah. Hopefully people will be a bit more prepared. Right, let's crack on. So we're not here till the shift starts in the morning. I got to be up at stupid o'clock. Kelly I says, what emphasis, if any, would you place on skill sets? I think we've touched on this a bit. Can you list those skills in any order of importance to a world after its end? So the skills obviously are for fun at this stage, Dave. This is to you. But when it comes to Teotihuacan or SHTF, could you list them skills in order of importance? I suppose Kelly was asking, like, what would you learn first?
I think, Kelly, to be honest, I think at the moment, if you want to do stuff at the moment that will help you in a SHTF situation, now the first thing is, like, as Mike's mentioned, is like water. Water is so important, and people don't put enough emphasis on water, because without it, 3-4 days you're dead, right?
Yep.
So find where your local lakes are. Just go and sit down there, have a picnic. Buy yourself a filter, get some water out of the lake, filter it, boil it, make yourself a brew, right? That way, if the shit hits the fan, you know how to take the water out, you know how to filter it and boil some water, right? Second one is foraging. Go to your local area and forage, right? I would say growing your own food, but growing your own food depends on the climate and the environment after shit hits the fan. Do you know what I mean? If the air's not good, or, like, you know, it's chaos. So I would definitely like water and foraging for food. Also fishing, learn to fish, go and have a bit of fun fishing. I can fish, it's a good bit of fun. And definitely self-defense.
There you go.
Definitely.
Brian, skills and how important are some of them after SHTF?
They'll be vital. Everything that Dave just said, 100% agree with. I think one of the key skills would be identifying other people's skills and how they meld with yours. Dave knows lots of stuff about canning and growing your own food and foraging and hunting, a lot more than me. So that would be something I would love to learn. And if it was an SHTF situation, that would be really good to have somebody like that in the group. Now, I couldn't add anything like that to the group, but I could add different skill sets of general engineering, electrical, mechanical stuff. So they would complement perhaps any gaps that Dave might have in that. So
yeah, I have no knowledge of that really. So yeah.
So knowing who's got different skills and then getting the most out of them would be a key thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's all part of the networking side of things, right? Which is key again. Excuse me. We are on Brian.
Oh no.
Is it better to prep for all possibilities, or should you focus minimally on the most likely event? Caveat to that is, can you ever prep too much?
This is similar to the earlier question we asked about starting out and prepping, and can you prep for everything?
Yeah.
Most of the things that you'll start prepping for are complementary for most situations, whether it's a grid down, short-term bad weather, you're financially strapped one month, they're all relatively complementary at the core skill level. I think they're relatively complementary. Focus on the most likely things, but those things that are most likely to happen, they'll complement even things that are very unlikely to happen to an extent, because even if there was a war that spread to the UK, you're still going to need water, you're still going to need food, you're still going to need torches and candles. Everything complements one another.
Mm-hmm.
And can you prep too much? If it becomes your life, then yeah. If you're living in fear all the time, then yes. That is a thing that I think we've probably all seen. That some people get drawn in, they're reading the news all the time, they're worrying about everything instead of going, screw it, I'm going on a holiday tomorrow, or I'm buying a new TV, or I can't buy a new TV, I've got to have 60 tins of beans. No, you've got to live your life and then complement it with prepping. So that's prepping too much for me when it takes over.
Yeah, when every day is an emergency alert on a YouTube channel. Dave, anything to add for that one, what Brian said there?
I think the same thing, really. But it's like with any situation, you're going to have need the basic necessities for comfort. Like Brian's saying, it's like, water, food, light, heat, shelter, right? So if you prepare those for any situation, you'll be doing all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, can you prep too much? If it becomes an obsession, because prepping does become a way of life, and a way of life is different from an obsession. Okay, so like you get people like to sit in an office with like loads of preparedness pies behind them. Oh, sorry, bro. No, but
I'm going to move those fucking things.
no, but it's like, but it does become a way of life, because like you sit in your office and you do your stuff, and I do the same. It's like I go out. I don't just go to the shop. I go looking about. It's like, what's that down that alley? What's that down there? Where's this lead? Where's this go? And you start thinking like a prepper.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've just got visions of your missus saying, "Go and grab us a pint of milk," and 3 hours later you come back going, "Oh, I found this tunnel and I just gone."
I do. I went off one day to Waitrose. Actually, I went off one day to Waitrose, and I got talking to a caretaker of a school, and then I got a whole tour of a like half a mile underground tunnel. And she was like, "Where the fuck you been?" I was like,
"I tried to ring you. There was no signal."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can only reiterate what these the two gents said there. I would just what people miss with prepping is they're prepping for events and they're prepping for things that could happen, right? Based on what they're seeing other preppers do and what they're seeing news do. And what people often miss is the obvious things around the house. Do you have a fire extinguisher? Do you have a fire blanket? Do you have a way to put out different types of fire? Do you have enough medical kit and medical supplies for any emergency situation in the house? So prep for everyday life first, then start looking at likely events and work your way up from there. Can you ever prep too much? No. In my opinion, no. As long as you're prepping sensibly, as long as you're prepping to your means, and as long as, like they say, it doesn't become everything and you're living in a bunker and forcing that upon wife and kids. So, yeah, exactly what they said, but I would emphasize that look at the things that people miss, just the average stuff around your house. Have you got a CO2 detector, etc.? So think about them things. because you'd hate to like prep for World War III and be taken down by a chip pan fire, right? Because it happens. Let's be honest, it happens. I mean, what the amount of deaths every year because somebody slipped in the shower? Prep for it. Put a mat down. There you go. That's a prep. Last one of the predefined questions, and it's mine.
Let me guess, it's a short one.
It's not. I'm not fond of tinned processed food, and the thought of stockpiling food I don't want to eat daily puts me off as far as rotating food preps. What can I do? This is an interesting one, and I read this obviously when it first came in. And it's a really difficult one to answer. And all I could say to that is experiment. It's very vague to say, I don't like tin stuff. I don't like processed food, but experiment. Make your own beef jerky. There's all sorts of stuff you could do and try. The dehydrator stuff, the dehydrated things. If you don't want the ready dehydrated meals, you could get your own dehydrator, like Brian's going to be doing on this channel. Or grow your own and go scavenging like Dave does, like foraging, sorry. That's the only thing I can recommend, but I would really experiment with it because one tin tastes a lot different from another tin and you might start to find something you like. So I really don't know how else to advise that. What do you think? Actually, bug out in SHTF, bug out to the nearest McDonald's. There you go. Just take that over and get a solar power on the roof. You'd be good. Dave, any advice for Annika?
Yeah, I do like the word scavenging though, because it's not a word I use, but it's actually a skill that I learned, and it's a good skill. I learned it when I was homeless years ago. And you're not far wrong. It's go and camp outside the McDonald's, go and camp outside the supermarket, go through their bins. I know it sounds horrible, but you know, it's like
not at all. I did some shuttering work at the back of the Marks and Spencers, and they throw out fresh food every day into a bin. They don't reduce it down for as quickly as like other supermarkets. And we're talking whole chickens, sealed products, everything.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, I'm not fond of tin processed food and the thought of stockpiling food I don't want to eat daily. Now, the only option is for this is like, I've got to be honest, I'm not a great lover of tin food. I don't eat ham. I don't eat pork at all. Right. So, but I would, obviously, if I was hungry. Literally, you're going to have to start looking at the skill set and you're going to have to start foraging and making your own food. We dehydrate the stuff that we forage and grow. So everything that we do is basically organic or as close as you can get. Yeah. It's dehydrated and it's dried into powders, it's dried into stuff, or you can literally can it. And like I said before on a previous podcast, we've probably got about 300 jars of food in there, all grown or foraged by ourselves. So that's probably, Anarchy, is what you're going to have to start doing. You're going to have to start looking at the skill set to provide that, you know, because at the end of the day, even though I don't like it, if I'm starving, I'm going to eat a corned beef hash that I've made out of like the cupboard, like with some smashed potato and a corned beef and onion and stuff. So you're going to have to start looking at the skill set to provide what you would feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Right. That's great. I mean, I think that's all we can say. Do you have anything to add to that, Brian, at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the premise of what you're doing. No, everything that you have both said, I totally agree with. But fundamentally, the question is, this is for time of need and strife. You wouldn't choose to eat tinned food all the time, right? You would choose to eat different food. You would choose to eat in a better way, in a healthier way. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about to keep you alive and feed your family, which is a different beast. In an ideal world, the original poster would be able to rotate these in. They'd be able to rotate them in so they're not wasted.
Yeah.
If they don't like them and they can't rotate them in, for me, that doesn't negate the need to stock them. Right? The fact that you don't particularly want to eat them every day isn't really the issue. The fact that you're going to store them for a day that you might need them is the issue. So, unfortunately for the original poster, they might be throwing some food out more often than other people, right? If they can't eat it or don't like it in normal but it wouldn't put me off, or I certainly wouldn't say don't stock them, because what you would choose to eat and what you'll actually eat when you have to, that list will go like this very, very quickly. So you might not want to rotate them. Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to fling some food out then and waste it, or give it to somebody, put it in a food bank when it's near its expiry date.
Yeah, great cause. Yeah, with 3 months left, a couple of months left, go and give it to charity, hampers, whatever you can do. That's a great idea.
But I wouldn't not stock it.
One thing I'll add on to just both of them is spices, herbs, flavoring powders, salt, pepper. Yeah, seasoning can make all the difference, and make a crappy tin of soup taste really good. So just seasoning is a great thing to prep. We're gonna go through the ones that people have commented now. I don't have to read them all because with some we've already answered. So if I've skipped your question, it's because we've already answered it. Sorry if you missed it. You can watch it on the replay. First off, Tellerboy, our sticker was starred. Super sticker. Tonight's stream is entirely sponsored by Telderboy. There we go. Thank you very much, Telderboy. Dartmoor exclusive. What is your best prepping item? One item. Go, Dave.
Oh my God, on the spot. Water filter.
Water filter.
Water filter. My wrecking water gravity filtration system.
Cool. Brian, keep it PC and related to YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Okay. Yeah, same as Dave. Without water, you're fucked. So water filter.
Yeah. Okay. And for me, I love the water filters. You can't go without them. But my favorite prepping item is my knife, my general just crafting knife that I've got. It's no brand. It was a hand carved handle and stuff. And I think you need a knife. You always need.
So you're going to stab us and take our water filters. I get it. Now I see where you're coming from.
Precisely.
Brian, did you see the knife I got for Christmas?
There we go. Yeah, I mean, mine looks mine's a bit smaller than Dave's.
It looked good though.
Yeah.
Right. Meg Perkins, what has been the prep that you value most that you don't hear from other preppers? So this is a similar sort of question, but maybe not as popular. What's Brian, we'll go to you first. We'll give Dave a break.
I don't really understand the question, mate, if I'm being honest.
What prep do you value the most that you don't hear from other preppers? Like, if you got preps, anything that's not as common, like, I've got this, I really like this prep, but I don't see many channels talking about it, that kind of thing.
I've got pretty much the same as most people, to be honest, so I don't really...
I'll go. So I've got a waste bag, which is we just mentioned scavenging, which is my scavenging kit, which has everything from lockpicks and a crowbar and bits like that to like as one little kit. So it's not a single item, but it's a kit that I've got specifically for going out and gathering supplies from secured locations if needs be. So that's kind of, and I don't see that often. I'll see bug out bags and I'll see people with certain crowbars, but not set up as a kit like that. So that's mine. So Dave?
Well, put on the spot, but like literally, I would say my fire steel. I've got traditional forged fire steel, so nice. I can just take that out, knock it with flint to create flame. So
love that. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Brian,
come on, you've had time to think now, Brian. We've given you examples.
I'll go with a power bank or power banks. They're becoming more common, but because of the price ticket attached to them, they're still not as common with prepping as I'd like to see. But that's probably my favourite items is power banks.
Like the big units, like the Delta Maxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. There we go. See, we got there.
Difficult one to answer that one, to be honest.
It is, yeah, it is, because it's trying to think outside the box. Quick one. Do you prep for everyday issues? Example, I've just bought 2 spare LPG instant water heaters for when they all the tax goes silly. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we all kind of prep for this kind of thing anyway, right? We don't just prep for end of the world here. Dave, Brian, do you want to jump in and say that you do, or Are we all?
Yeah, well, you do anyway, because prepping is for things that are everyday issues that go wrong. Because it's that prepping is about everyday. It's everyday life. It might take an unexpected turn. So I would say auxiliary power systems, solar, backup batteries. One, if things go wrong, and two, to save money. That's my kind of prep for that.
Frugal Queen in France, who has a YouTube channel, who's been on the Prepper podcast. She's got like 40,000 followers. She's a big channel. She charges her big power banks like the Delta Max things on sunny days in France, and then every so often she runs her entire washing off it, a washing machine, a dryer, and stuff like that, and saves a fortune doing it. So,
I do that when I discharge them, because see, part of your maintenance cycle, you're supposed to discharge them every 3 months.
Yeah.
Take them down to 0, then charge them back up, then take them down to 80%. So rather than waste the power, especially when it's sunny, dump it into the dishwasher, washing machine, whatever, run the telly, router, flatten them all.
Yeah, definitely.
And then charge them off peak.
It's a good idea, and it's a good little money saving thing as well. First aid training through your employer that's free for you. That was mentioned when we were on it. It's a really good thing. All sorts of training you can access through a lot of employers that people don't. It's worth doing
through your union, especially in Scotland. Depending what they've got, the STUC's got a block learning fund, so they will allocate money to your union, and you can go and see your learning rep at your employer, or go to your union office and ask to speak to the learning coordinators, and they'll run courses and they'll pay for it, and it's free to you. So
also, if you've got spare time, volunteer at sports clubs and stuff like that. The FA have great medical courses, so there's always that opportunity there. Lanx Lass, might seem a daft question, but do you think preppers can accumulate too much stuff? We kind of answered that one, didn't we, right? As long as you're sensible and you have a life, then you're good to go. Here we go. Kelly's Eye. When do you bug out? After the big flash or well before it? Not easy to determine. Anyone? Jump in.
I don't prepare for the big flash. And we've been over this a million times, because geography kills me. That's a small flash, Mike.
Well, thank you. I've lost a bit of weight.
Almost
That's
fun
not what I
size,
meant. There's nothing wrong with fun size. I've been saying that for a long, long time. No, for me, the big flash is something that, as I've said, I don't prepare for, because it's the one thing that I don't think I can, because I'm slap bang in the middle of Scotland, and there's all these sorts of things that will be glowing in the dark, so I'm bollocksed. Everything up until that, yes.
There you go.
That's my...
Dave, what point do you bug out?
This is the question, isn't it? This is always the question with everyone. And the thing is, you've just got to monitor what's going on. I mean, it's like how it's affecting your local area. I mean, if you've got like people like rioting in the next town along, it's time to start thinking about if it's going to reach you, or any disasters. I'm not too sure about the thing going up, the big flash of light or anything like that, because once the big flash of lights come up, you're better off just hunkering down the best you can and finding a safe room. But
as long as that flash doesn't end with the pearly gates, then you've survived.
Yeah, well, but, but it's like I think this is a question everyone asks: when do you bug out? And I get asked it all the time. And the thing is, this is where your common sense, situational awareness, and basically to see what's going on. If you're hearing on the radio or saying that like literally like you've got like a tsunami, for instance, that's coming like hitting your coast, you've got to get out of there. You've got to start thinking about getting out. Not you can sit there and ride it out, but you've got to have common sense in this. It's like, we're being invaded like in Wales. Like, do I need to evacuate? No, I don't, because Wales is the other side of the country. Not yet. It's like, so I think it's like you've got to play it by ear and see how it affects you.
Yeah, nobody's invading Wales, though. Let's be fair. Blood Skulls Rock. Oh dear. Blood Skulls Rock. Are there any lightweight crossbows you would recommend, especially for a beginner? I'm disabled and doubt I'd be able to lift a full-size crossbow. The pistol ones are great. They've got some good power on them. I would recommend going to a range, an archery range or something like that let you use them. There you go. Is that the Mantis one? He's got. Is that the mantis one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dead easy to cock.
Yeah.
So
it's just a lever arm down. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got a similar one to that. The other option is there's the one with the arm. Is it the adder?
The adder.
Yeah. But that again, it will depend on your mobility. It's not heavy, and it's the easiest one to cock. That's a full size one, but you do have to be able to have that range of motion to do this.
You get different limbs for that one.
Sorry, on the crossbow, it's like we bought, because my wife's disabled as well. So we bought the Tomcat 2, which is actually 80-pound draw weight cross, and it was too much for her to pull back. Right, so it's like it's too much to crank. But anything under there, like these little crappy 20-pound ones you can get, right? Like you get the ones with the string you can pull back, like a catapult. They're really cheap, and they're probably the best thing that you're going to be able to fire. To be honest,
and to be fair, you can hunt with a catapult.
Yeah,
and you can hunt and you can hunt with air guns and stuff like that, which are perfectly fine. So just explore your options, Blood Skulls. I think we've done different podcasts and videos about that, but yeah, there's a good start for you on them ones. This was just a pro tip from Kelly's Eye that highlighted Google Lost Superfoods PDF download. It's a brilliant book, free download. The Amish swear by it. There you go. So that's one worth looking for. Elusive asked about the best prep item as well. We've already done that. Another tip from UK preppers, have a look at the Asian wholesale places for served takeaways and restaurants for bulk powdered eggs, flour, rice. You can often get a day pass. There you go. So
it's a good idea. I'll let you look at that.
Yeah, I thought the same as well, because I've got an abundance of them places just in Manchester, not too far. What do you do when you want to build a community but you don't trust your neighbors? This is a good one. I'm in this situation. Where I am, there's no chance. I mean, if I was forced into it, I'd try and build them relationships. But yeah, it's difficult. You guys got any tips? Because I'm keen to learn on this one.
You go first, Brian.
Oh, gee, thanks. I was going to say move. And that's a flippant statement, right? But see if the trust issue is that bad. Never mind if shit hits the fan.
You want to be living there in general.
I wouldn't want to fucking live next to them anyway, to be honest. But you could have the nicest neighbour in the world. If they've not prepped and shit hits the fan, they'll probably could become a bad neighbour very quickly if you don't educate them properly. But it depends how far apart family is. Your neighbours might be assholes either side of you, front or back. But if you've got family or friends that are a couple of doors further up the name, then that'll counterbalance the assholes. So it depends what extended family you've got.
Yeah, and that could fall into your plan. If you that's genuinely a threat, then maybe bugging out is your option. Not necessarily bugging out to live in the woods, but if you've got somebody who lives in the next town over, or something like that, or somewhere you can go that's more secure, then that's the area you want to be prepping in. And then you just want to be prepped for that journey with multiple options. Like there's no power, I'm doing that journey. The car's broke, but I'm still doing that journey. So multiple options to get there, but that should be what your preps are centered around. Anything to add, Dave?
When you want to build community, but you don't trust your neighbours, then don't entertain them. To be honest, I mean, what's it say? That not everyone who smiles at you is your friend, and like not everyone who hates you is your enemy. It's like the thing is like your gut feeling should tell you what you're going to do. I mean, most of the people in my community don't live anywhere near me. Do you know what I mean? It's like literally we would have to arrange meets up and down the country or in the area. But in my local vicinity, there's no one that I would trust pretty much. So it's like don't entertain it because it's going to put stress on yourself. Just there's community will turn up when it's right. The right people will turn up. I always believe that.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Would anyone consider their workplace a good place to bug out to in event of SHTF?
Depends on the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, personally, would either of you consider that where you work?
I work from home,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Well, let me tell you, my offices are in the middle of Yorkshire. It's a massive farmhouse with no neighbours on top of a hill with only one road in and out, not far from a public building that we were discussing that is a castle that is now a tourist place. So yes,
Nice.
Have I done recce's? Yes. Have I looked at potential defense points? Maybe. But yeah, it all depends on your workplace. It all depends on the viability of that. But you should definitely look at it. You should definitely always look at your workplace as what you would do in an emergency situation, because at any point you could be stuck there for a length of time. Because bear in mind, if you're spending 8 hours a day in a singular place, you should have a prep for that, because the chances are it'll hit the fan when you don't want it to. It's not going to hit the fan on a Sunday while you're tuned into Fireside with all your preps surrounding you. It's just
I mean, I'm a self-defense instructor. I teach martial arts, so a martial arts hall is probably not the best place to bug out to. But I do volunteer, and I'm actually like a volunteer because I help down the tunnels. So they do guides down the tunnels. So I also get involved in that every now and then. So like literally, we take them 30 meters underground, take them around the tunnels and stuff like that. So again, it is a good bug out place to go for that. Yeah. But like you say, it depends on the area, doesn't it? The job and the area and everything.
That's it. It's all about that situational awareness that you've got to practice all the time. This is the last one that I've started before I try and catch up with the 73 comments I'm behind. This is probably something you could answer, Dave, because I'd hate for me and Brian to jump in without any sort of this. Any advice for someone that doesn't drive and has mobility issues regarding prepping?
Well, it depends on the mobility issues. Now, my wife is disabled. She's got she's had operations on her legs and stuff like that. She can move, but when it flares up, she can't, right? So it depends what you want to do. I mean, I would say get in with someone that does drive if you do have mobility issues, because if we break it down, a cold, honest fact, right? That if you have a disability and you have problems moving, you're stuck. Let's be honest about it. And I say this to my wife. I said, like, either you learn to walk a bit better, or like I'm leaving you for the zombies. but no, it's like literally you have got. Because my wife hates it because I'm a realist, and I am a realist. So I know that, like, literally, with me, for instance, I'm getting older. So I'm not as nimble as I was when I was younger, right? I have to be realistic and put that into my preps and my bug out plans and everything like that. Yeah. My wife's disabled. I have to realise that, in all honesty, the chances are I can't bug out with her, right? Because she can't get there. So what am I going to do? Am I going to leave her? No, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to fight with her. And that is the way we are. It's like I can't force her. And this is the thing. Sometimes you have to accept things that you don't want to have to accept. Like me, I can walk 50 miles in a day with a backpack on, or a day and a half with a 30-kilo backpack up the hills. My wife wouldn't even make it to the corner shop like that. So what do? Do I get my backpack and leave her, or do I stay with her? I stay with her. That is my job as a husband.
I'm not married yet, so I'm cool.
Well, I'm not married officially, but,
Brian, do you want anything to add before I put my 2 cents into this one?
You can't add any more to that. He's 100% right in everything he said.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to add to it is we had the disabled camper as part of the Preppers Fireside. He'll always be part of the Preppers Fireside when he comes back, if he returns at any point. But he was centered around like getting his fitness up more than he should be able to. Like, some people sit back on their laurels, but he was doing that. But prep for it. Like mobility, if you need a mobility scooter, then prep that scooter, have the way to charge it off grid, have the way to have extra batteries, test how far you can get on that and stuff like that, and center your plans around your abilities. That's all I can recommend for that. Everyone's different. You can follow a million different YouTubers. What happens to you and how you react and what you do is going to be completely different. So play out the scenarios in your mind or what you think may happen, and then see what extra contingencies you need for that. And get involved with the communities, because you'll be surprised how many people are in your situation. I don't know if she's in here today, but Sandy from Sigma Preppers Mod also has mobility issues, and she's a very experienced prepper. So make sure you get involved with the communities, because they can tell you probably a lot more than a lot of us can. Let's quickly catch up on the 92 messages to make sure there's no other questions, and then we can skedaddle. Brian, what's its name and where do I get one?
And related to what?
She wants to buy a Brian.
Oh, mate, they're priceless.
Well, unfortunately, it's inflatable dolls go on pretty expensive because you're paying for the bulk, right?
You're gonna have to.
I'm guessing it's a crossbow.
Oh, there you go. Potentially, that was the last thing shown. Yeah, maybe.
So that would be. I got that one and the other. I got that one and other ones from DNA Leisure, but you can get them for EK Archery. I'm sure that one's a Cyclone. That was about 45 quid. And I've got ones that are 20 quid. I've got ones that are 150 quid. You get different limbs. If I was buying another crossbow, I would get the EK Archery Adder or the Steambolt 2 with a semi-automatic magazine on them and stuff.
Yeah.
So it depends what you want and price point, but 20 quid and the sky's your limit.
Brian got the posh one. The Mantis is the posh one. That's probably the lowest budget one you'll get that's any good. The Cobra system, exactly
that's the one I was on about.
Yeah, and it's got its safety on there. It's really good. It's more powerful than you think. I've got a hole through a kitchen unit to prove that. But I can show you because it's. Oh, hang on. Let's get hold of it in the right place. You can literally. Yeah, just like that. So you've got to get your hand on to balance it. Don't do it with a bow-in, with a bolt in, but it's quite easy to cock compared to the big one, which is, you know.
Oh, you need the pull cords for them. They're a pain in the ass.
Yes, I know. Yeah, this is why I'm swapping to bows at the moment with my training, because you know. Walking Dead make it look easy. Every time I watch it now, I started rewatching, like I'm watching the Daryl one for Walking Dead now, and then they've got Carol, this woman, like this dainty woman, running around with this crossbow like that you've got a full cock, and she's like, Chew. And 2 minutes later she's doing it again. I'm like, no,
it's not like that.
I mean, I can with my 175-pound draw weight, I can hand cock it. I can hand cock that.
All right.
No, but it's not strength. It's technique. It's a really strange technique.
Yeah.
But it's not strength. You don't pull it with your arms. You pull it with your back. So you like, so you go down and you kind of like you're touching your toes, but you pull it up. Just you put your foot in the guard, pull it up, make sure it's straight, and it's really easy.
Do you know what it is for me, Dave? It's not the strength, because if I put the loops on and use them, it's no problem. I could probably cock it quite quickly and pass it on to somebody else to fire and then reload. It's the grip. It's the grip on the cable. So I can't get enough of a grip. I'll be like one finger or two fingers. That's the issue for me.
Yeah, it does hurt your hands a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going through here.
Yeah, I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah, I can't see any block capital questions. You're right. It might be safe. We might be safe.
Somebody asked something about batteries, but I've lost it.
Right. Okay. I didn't see it either. So I'll have to put it on the thing for the next time. This has been... Go on.
I think it was to do when we were talking about discharging the eco flows. And I can't find the full question, but I did catch it. And it was something about, does that apply to all batteries? Well, it depends the batteries they're talking about, and depends the power banks. But as a rule of thumb, they'll retain a memory. So discharge, charge, but you don't do that with lead acids, AGMs, calcium, anything like that. Because if you discharge it past depth of discharge 50%, you'll fuck the batteries. Excuse the language, I swear a lot. I'm really sorry.
This is why Teleboy's $4.99 donation is vital, because Brian gets us demonetized.
I'm really sorry. I keep forgetting.
No, we're good. I think that's about it. I think we are going to have to draw a line because I don't want to see Dave hangry. But yeah, Pre-UK Prep has mentioned Sling Ball there as well. There's all sorts. There's loads of stuff you can go into on that. We'll probably do some more videos. There's still 77 people in here at the moment. Thank you for being here. Smash the like button. Really do appreciate you. And let's listen to Dave as he tells you all about the Urban Survivalist and what that's all about. And Miss Worm posts the link to his channel. Go, Dave.
Hi, on the spot. I hate this. Right.
This should be rehearsed now, Dave.
Yeah. So basically, like my channel's the Urban Survivalist. It's basically teaching you how to be self-sufficient and how to survive the urban areas. So we cover everything from foraging to urbex to growing our own food to gear reviews, wild camping, bushcraft, everything. So yeah, give it a look.
Excellent. Thank you. Brian,
cheers. Thanks.
Tell us all about Scottish Prepper 73.
I tend to prep for the scenario that I think is most prevalent in my mind, which would be grid issues, short-term, medium-term, long-term power problems. I'll post news updates about that. I'll post articles relating to that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And I'll do equipment reviews on power banks, solar panels, different types of charging systems, bug out vans, vehicles, long life food, rat packs, that kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, honestly, guys, if you follow me and you don't follow these guys, that's a mistake. The combined knowledge here, all three of us, will get you through most prepping situations. And these guys have taught me so much between them. So make sure you go and check out both of their channels. I'm going to quickly show you our awesome moderators channel. It's not prepping, but stay tuned. It's only 40 seconds. Watch this. There you go. If you want some scary stories, go and check out Miss Worm's channel. It's awesome just for a break from prepping. And she's still full of hope off us for most of this stream tonight because she's been binge listening to Miss Worm's stuff. So that tells you how good it is. No, only one promo for me. It's not a promo. It's a thank you. Just quickly to say, we're already up to £210 raised for Help for Heroes. You guys are awesome. That's a cracking start. All the links are below. Whether you can help out with the actual journey or whether you can help out by donating on Just Giving. We're not doing this till the end of May, but to raise 210 in the first week, that's awesome. So hopefully we can keep going on that track and raise some good money for a very just cause. Dave, final thoughts and goodbye.
No, just keep prepping, local knowledge, situational awareness. Just take it easy. Just don't buy into any of the fear. Just enjoy life. Cheers for watching.
Perfect. Brian?
I was watching the numbers throughout the kind of podcast there. I'm just blown away with how many people are kind enough to give up their time and sit and listen to us dribble a lot of shit for 2.25 hours. It's really good. And it's appreciated. And keep the questions coming because there's a lot of things that have been in the chat tonight that they're new to me. It's a learning curve for everybody here. So we'll talk, but we'll learn as much from you guys in the chat as we can possibly give some information. So it's really good. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep. And for me, thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, all the lovely stuff that the algorithm likes. Main point, go and follow these guys, subscribe, everything. It's worth it. See you all in the next one. Goodbye.
Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid, preppers live unafraid. At the prepper's fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance. Living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.